Happy New Year's Eve, my friends. That's right, we are back to talk about Sub-Zero with some proof about winning with what some might consider, off-meta cameos. That's right, I'm talking about Scorpion. I love playing some Sub-Zero Scorpion. But even more than that, I just want to show off the general tech you've been seeing me talk about in my videos. Because let's be real, we can do a lot of stuff in the lab that can look good, but doesn't work in real matches. People can say their opinions, but can they back it up with real match footage to show that it works? So that's what I want to do right now. And the nice thing about, grinding to the higher levels in Combat League is you do get to play players that we see in online tournaments. So my first match is against DexyDawg. Now you might be thinking, DexyDawg, what is Johnny Cage doing on screen? Players decide to play some different characters. Obviously DexyDawg known for an incredibly strong Melina, and this Johnny is pretty good, all right? But of course, a person's secondary, tertiary, whatever, I don't know, where Johnny is in the pocket for Dexy. But I thought Dexy played Johnny well, and this gets to show a lot of the tech that I've been talking about in my videos. So let's give this a watch and see how it goes. I've talked before about using the clone as a parry. You see that, basically an anti-air parry. Now, Dexy totally challenged my forward one staggers, so I know that. Try to get away with Scorpion's back pull because I know that Johnny can do some armor break setups, but it didn't work. Johnny mauling in the corner, his favorite thing in the world. That was a bit of a risk on my part, but I thought he'd be greedy, and he was, so I got my poke off. Not that it really matters much. Now we begin to make our way out. So it's a little bit of a mix. Probably just not used to fighting against a Sub-Zero Scorpion. We get some bigger damage, but with that last hit, so unfortunate. A lot of times people will try to go in after that Jade call with Chameleon and dive kick and punish, but obviously didn't work out there. You can see that down 3 into standing 2 I've talked about. Mix and me with Chameleon. We know Chameleon's amazing at that. Now, he could have punished me with shadow kick, but hey, he shadow kicks later anyway. I was trying to low profile his jump kick, but good luck with that against Johnny. Back 3 into Scorpion's nice because you don't really need to hit confirm it. That was the safe jump setup, but he blocked. Yeah, there we go, is the punish with the kick. There's me again, trying to catch him. Now, I could have gone into Scorpion, but I'm still not as on point with the new tech with Scorpion. And he messes up. And that's just going to happen sometimes. Sometimes your opponent is going to mess up. He didn't hit confirm that, and you got to be ready to capitalize, so I did. Again, that down 3 from max range, really useful. There we go. So that jump back dive kick, being able to jump back and do a dive kick is incredible. I'm maxing out my damage, getting some corner push, but I'm not going to stay right up next to him because it's freaking Johnny. Mix in a little bit of throw. Hadn't done much of that yet. There we go. Slide combo gets him off an entire 3 bars. Slide combos. Freaking amazing. Now we can just pester him. Now we can just chip him out. But of course it's Johnny, so he gets in. And I honestly love using clone in the corner like that. A lot of people don't realize that that clone has such an amazing hitbox now that if they try to come in on you and you're like inside the clone, they will often hit the clone. Worked out. So that's match number 1. Let's see how that... All right, here we are in match 2. Now, so you are aware, I am ready to switch to Sub-Zero cameo should I lose, because I really like the Sub-Zero parry against Johnny Cage. Johnny Cage more has lows later in strings, so you don't need to be as worried about him blowing up the parry. So If I lose, I'm just waiting. I'm like, all right, I will switch because Johnny Cage can really get on top of Sub-Zero and maul him because Sub-Zero's buttons are a little bit slower. Yes, if you're mid-screen, you can be using the clone to get away, but this match can get very scary for Sub-Zero, and I find that Sub-Cameo helps protect against that. So let's see if I need to make the switch or not based on how this match goes. Again, down 3. Just trying to check him as he runs in. That was not a well-spaced dive kick. And the mix. Now, thankfully, he let me out of the corner there. Again, that's likely just because he's not as comfortable with it. And he puts me back in. As you can see, though Dexy makes a couple mistakes, very clean with the Johnny, with the side switches. I mean, that's later stuff. So I'm like slide combos and big slide combos. That's right. If we with a slide, we're hitting for 40% plus. Now, sure, that took some resources, but I'm Sub-Zero. I'm going to lay him out. I'm going to get those resources back. Look, I've already got a Scorpion cameo back. So again, standing 2, we talked about one of Sub's best buttons. There we go. See, this is what I'm talking about. People like to go in after that glaive, and if you get that dive kick low enough, you're going to be safe off of it. Scorpion, for all the nice extensions, we get the kill. Yep, again, standing 2 is great, down 3 is great, mid-screen, ice cold punch is good. Yep. That distance, J-Glaive's so scary. It's just like an extended normal, kind of like slide, but I'm like, you're not watching your toes, and we're going to go in for big damage again. Now, he's not breaking this because he's probably thinking, how much can I really get? I'm going to get 37%. So, probably should have broken that, but, the Glaive again at that range, so scary. Mistimed combo there. So again, you can see not quite as familiar with Johnny. Still playing strong, but little drops here and there can, of course, cost you the match. Yeah, that's a little jump-in bait with the clone. As I've shown, you can just combo people even with a jump-in clone. I really should have anti-aired that. Just trying to play patient. I see that he's got Chameleon. I tried to be a little scummy there with the down 1 poke slide because I know I've got a breaker. I know I can get out of it. Again, that down 3, so good, and there it is. Just playing carefully and doing risky stuff every now and then. And of course, you can be riskier when you've got that breaker. It's, high risk, high reward. If I hit him with a slide, I can kill or at least get him off breaker. If he blocks, I've got the breaker to get out of it. So that's against Johnny Cage. Now, I know some Sub players will say, Sub versus Johnny, that's a good matchup for Sub. I think Sub has tons of great matchups. Honestly, I do. I'll make a matchup chart here soon. I don't think Johnny is one of them. Yeah, the clone can be annoying, but the shadow kick on reaction, even a late reaction, can just go right through it. I think the new Sub cameo helps a lot in the Johnny Cage matchup, but maybe it's just because we've got an incredibly strong Johnny Cage out here in our scene who is so good. I've played a lot against that Johnny, and I think that is a harder matchup for Sub-Zero, so I was happy with this result. Once again, this is not DexyDawg's main. I look forward for an opportunity to play against Melina, which I also think is a little bit of a trickier matchup due to Melina's teleport. But hey, here's hoping I'll get a run back against DexyDawg against his main. But I'm not done yet. Next up, we've got the Mighty Unjust. Now, I would think the Mighty Unjust doesn't need any introduction, but just in case people don't know, Mighty Unjust got 4th at EVO this year in MK1. Now, obviously, that was done with pre-patch Homelander, who was insane, and more recently, we've seen Mighty Unjust playing a lot of noob, and you can see this in multiple tournaments online. Mighty Unjust participates in many of them, so I was really excited that I had this opportunity to play against his noob. I've played against, a handful of noobs. They're pretty popular online, but I hadn't yet purchased Noob yet, so I haven't gotten to go through and see where all the gaps are, so I'm still trying to learn some of the stuff on the fly, and then actually after I played Mighty Unjust. It went on sale. I went ahead and snagged it, so I'm going to go through and find all those guys. So this was going to be a really good learning experience for me, and also an opportunity to showcase a lot of the stuff I've been saying in my videos. So let's give it a watch. All right, didn't space that dive kick correctly, but he messed up his combo. And this is a relatively recent match, by the way, so yeah, Mighty Unjust is still working on his noob, but it's also quite strong, as you can see from his tournament results. Yeah, and that's the setup we saw Sonic Fox using, and now Mighty Unjust using a good amount. But he's not watching his toes, and if he's not watching his toes, I'm going to do combos with slides. So I think he may not know about the safe jump setup. Works out. Get him off a breaker using that. A lot of noobs do like to use that portal projectile range, and a lot of times they're expecting you to move in, so Ice Ball can counter that. Messed up my combo a little bit, but almost got him, but very nicely done by him, recognizing that he can punish. Any character that has, lucked out on that one obviously, any character that has a teleport can give Sub-Zero problems, especially if you're wanting to throw Ice Ball, just because Ice Ball is so slow. Often on the reaction, they can punish you for that. But, you know, I had some drops, he had some drops, and it ended up working out in my favor. You saw there the jump-in clone. If he hadn't blocked that, he would have gotten frozen. I was hoping to get him with the new stuff of sliding people into clone, but my timing was slightly off. Also messed up a combo there, so just some mess-ups. Back and forth. I was feeling out the match. I'm also very excited to be playing against Mighty Unjust, because I'm like, oh, that was great. The sad part about the resets with Combat League, you got to go through all these people to then fight people that are, you know, really making you level up in your gameplay. I've been working on teching a lot, which of course is a 50-50 guess, but definitely improved. That low dive kick, as I've talked about, really you're only slightly negative, and so you can steal your turn back with a down one, armored slide. But he snags me, and yeah, noob, the combo's just going forever. Doesn't quite kill though. I swear I could have stood up and punched him real quick, but did not get that. All right, again, I don't think he's quite used to slide combos, so he's just not watching his toes in the same way, so yeah, I'm going to hit him for 40%. Good tech by him. That's the punishes, again, the Ice Ball against noob actually is pretty useful. Yes, it's scary because he can teleport punish, but you can also punish a decent number of his things. I did mess up my combo there, which was unfortunate. Noob getting throw combos with Janet, quite good. I really should always be teching in that direction. Anyone, when you're fighting a noob, tech in that direction. There you see the tech I was going for earlier, which is sliding people into the clone. That's just my lack of familiarity with that string. I was seeing if maybe I could blow up that low kick into medium kick. Couldn't. He's got great safe jump setups with noob. Drops his combo there. Sometimes a raw scorpion call out will work. Now, I got a little too aggressive there. I really should have waited, especially once you've got Fatal Blow as Sub-Zero. Sub-Zero's Fatal Blow is so good. I know some people are out there playing Sector, because obviously Sector Cameo's Fatal Blow is insanely good, but Sub-Zero's Fatal Blow is already very good, incredible range, and noobs like to be in the air, because they've got some really good air options. So really, I should have just waited, because most people don't realize how good Sub-Zero's Fatal Blow is, and it lets you punish people at ranges they're not expecting when they're at jump height, kind of like mid-screen from you. So honestly, I should not have jumped in. I got too antsy. Should have just waited. Could have snagged him with a Fatal Blow. But overall, once I kind of settled in, was getting some slide combos, I was feeling good about that. We both had a number of drops, but this next match, hopefully I can settle in and be more consistent. All right, match number 2 against TheMightyUnjust. I've seen that I'm just being a little inconsistent in my hits. I've also been a little too aggressive in my hits. Ice Ball, for the most part, has worked out. Definitely Slide has worked out. So these are the sorts of things that are on my mind, and it can be very worthwhile to pause in between your matches, by the way. I know it's easy to get heated, to get salty, but you really want to think about, what have I been doing that's been working, that I want to keep doing? What have I been doing that's not working, that I want to change, move away from? And also, what habits does my opponent has? Right now, it seems to me that TheMightyUnjust, again, just isn't quite familiar with, this pairing, and isn't quite familiar with the high damage that a Sub-Zero could get off Slide. So he's just not being quite as defensive with his feet. So that's, again, on my mind. All right, so that's the stagger with forward 1 that can really work well for Sub-Zero. I'm looking to fully cash out. I'm going to do this in a lot of cases, whether I'm fighting TheMightyUnjust or not. I'm going to look to cash out just because of the damage you can get and the fact that Sub-Zero is going to play a little lamer, so you're generally going to get your resources back. Now, here's the setup that I then do a delay against, which works well for me. I just don't realize that he's going to pressure me again right after, so you've really got to delay and then just block for a bit. Again, is what I meant about he's not quite watching his toes, so I'm going in. I'm going in for the full damage, 2 Scorpion calls, gets you around 37. Yeah, very nice. Now, I know he's got the breaker, so I was trying to just do single hit damage, but then I decided to go ahead and take him off the breaker. Now I just need any hit. There we go. So 2-2-1. Standing 2, standing 2-1. Such a good string. Yes, there's a gap, but when the opponent doesn't have meter, who cares about the gap? Now, honestly, he could have called Janet Cage in between the gap, but, a lot of people aren't quite ready to do that. I've been using that tech more, as you can see. So it means you don't have to spend your cameo, and you still get a combo off of a Slide. You had a nice block there. That's the standing 4 into Scorpion. He could have armored it, but it's generally not worth it for him to armor that. But standing 4 into Scorpion can work well. That's the positive trade. Unfortunately, Scorpion isn't back yet. Otherwise, I could have kept that combo going. First time I've used that mix-up. So this is what I mean about, save your mix-ups if you don't have too many until right at the end, like right as you're about to potentially win the match. There we go. Getting in that spacing where they want to throw out a string and you get to throw out the Ice Cone Punch can work really well. Thankfully, didn't call Jan right there, which I assume would have worked. Again, I'm not quite as familiar with these strings. I don't know which ones are negative that same way that I usually would, but I get them with a throw and I get the match. So that felt good. I was like, yeah, 1-1. Now, I wish I had obviously won the first one by playing a little bit more patient, just waiting to use my fatal blow when he inevitably jumped up in the air or was just trying to space me out, and then I would have already won this. But instead, I've now got to go in and I've used some of my mix-ups that are probably only going to work once. Like that low string hitting off the forward 1, 2, 3, I'm not counting on that hitting again. And I've also hit him with a lot of slides at this point, either comboing with Scorpion or comboing off of Clone. So I know that those things aren't going to be as effective now because a good player adapts. A good player, just like I'm thinking about, what's my opponent doing, he's thinking the same thing. So I've got to now mix up what I'm doing a little bit, not lean on those options as much, more of using the Slide as a straight punish when I see him whiffing something. Last match against TheMightyUnjust. As you'll see, I modified my playstyle a little at the beginning of this, because as I said, I'm trying to mix it up here, so I'm playing a little more range, and I'm really trying to get that first hit, because getting that extra bar is so huge. I think my Vapors really should have counted there, but he ends up getting the first hit on me. But again, you see I'm not sliding quite as much, doing more projectiles, trying to chip him out, but right there, that's a punish. So certain matchups, that Slide is so useful when normally people can't punish, but with Sub-Zero, you can when you see a noob throw out those long shadow strings. Now that's the second time I dive kicked in after jumping forward. I really should have done like an armored slide to mix up what I'm doing after I hit him with a low slide. Here, I've learned to delay wake up against that setup, but it still totally lets him get the mix. So delaying wake up is not the right answer against that setup. Right there, I miss it because in my head, I was thinking I wasn't going to use that string, that last hit low, but then last minute, I decided I would, and that, caused the drop. There, I know that string is an overhead. I really shouldn't have gotten hit by that. Again, that's just a lack of familiarity with Noob. I just haven't played hundreds of matches against Noob. So, real quick, you can see there were a lot of, similar tech choices in terms of like, tech we're using to win and beat somebody. The slide being the really big thing, seeing Noob whiff that shadow and get 40% damage off of it. If I had really just backed away after that, played a little bit more patiently, and not gotten hit by his setups, I'd be in a good place. And I'll talk more about the setups here in just a moment. So there I was trying to use the clone to combo him, but against someone of MightyUnjust level, I shouldn't have gone for that. Okay, so the setup. I'm delaying wake up again, but I'm forgetting that he gets to keep pressuring me after that ball. So again, not the right answer to delay wake up. I will show the right answer here. So he's realized, wait a second, this guy, this old man FGZ, sucks at dealing with my setup as Noob. I can just keep doing my setup over and over and I will kill him. And that's what I do against opponents too. If they don't know about the safe jump or, standing 4 into the mix, yeah, I'm just going to use that and murder them because in a 2 out of 3, there's not as much time as you would get to adjust as a 3 out of 5. But the beauty of the new takeover system is that you can try a tech like this. So I get to check and see, what is the answer? The answer is just this. That's what I just need to be doing against these setups, okay? So when you're playing as Sub-Zero Scorpion, you get this huge benefit of the spear getaway. When I was first watching trailers from K1, I saw that getaway and I was like, I love it, because I love hit and run characters playing, Vega from back in the day. So I always wanted to make Scorpion work, and it just turned out that he really is a legit cameo for Sub-Zero, especially after this recent patch. Before the patch, I was just being an edgelord playing Scorpion. There were better combos, but now I truly think Scorpion is one of the best because you can get away from Sento, you can get away from Reiko, and you can get away from setups like that. Now, he might have a way to counter the Scorpion getaway, but now we're going back and forth. Now it's not just me eating his setup all the time. I could also just armor right away against his setup, and he would need to use his Shadow's projectile immediately to break my armor, so that is a little bit of a mix there. But the Scorpion's just a safer getaway. You get a couple hits of armor. As long as they don't do the 2 hits simultaneously, you will get away. So that's that. But let's get back to the actual replay where I eat it. Now, thankfully, he didn't get a full combo off that, but he is on me. He's getting the new combo off of the overhead. It is not looking good for me. I try a little bit of scumminess to get back into it. I'm like, I've never done the down 1 against him, and he's like, you made me work too hard to beat you, so I'm going to fatal block it, all right? But as you can see, this match, it wasn't about the limitations of the character that led to this result, all right? It wasn't because Sub-Zero sucks that I lost to MightyUnjust. I lost to MightyUnjust because I made mistakes. I messed up the way I was playing. I had not labbed against Noob enough to know how to get away from the setup. I had labbed enough to know I could punish that string from a distance with slide, and that was a huge swing for me in the match, right? But if I can't counter his setup, it's not going to work out for me. But as I just showed using the amazing new replay system, Scorpion Cameo can totally get you out of that situation. So I feel really good about this matchup. I think this matchup is even for Sub-Zero. I'm not going to say it's easy because Noob has things that counter Sub-Zero. Like I hate that Noob shadows go through the clone, for instance. But I also have things as a sub player that counter noob, and then that's what creates a 5-5 in a lot of cases, where both characters have something that counter the other person. Now, sure, it's amazing that noob can get you with a throw combo, but it's only in one direction. So just, get used to teching in that direction, or don't get close to him. Don't get close to noob. Use projectiles, and then punish with slides when noob overextends. Catch him in the air every now and then, and you can absolutely win. One last thing I want to show you to close out this video. All right, I did title this video Getting God with Sub-Zero, so I just want to show you that, yes, I am at God rank. Now, that achievement in and of itself isn't that huge a deal. I always get God or Elder God every season, and if somebody out there is not, having that same sort of success with Sub-Zero, I really hope that these videos I've made are giving you the tools that you can reach those higher ranks that I'm sure you're wanting to get to. But what I want to showcase here was my win percentage, because it's not just about reaching a rank, it's what was your win percentage in getting there. My win percent right now is at 60%, which I was really happy about. 95 wins, 62 losses, and that's going to be better than a lot of other win percentages that you will see. Now, don't get me wrong, there are plenty of people getting crazy better win percentages than that. In fact, even looking right here, even the rank 1 person, right, 191, 98, that's better than my ratio. 74, 24, way better than my ratio, so on and so forth, right? But someone down a little bit further, 301, 249, okay, that's not better than my ratio. 216, 197, right? So part of it's about reaching a particular rank, but then, as you're wanting to level up, you want to get, those small amount of losses, higher amount of wins, because that's going to showcase that you really are improving as a player. My next goal is definitely to get up to 66% and then even higher, and I absolutely believe this team is capable of doing that. I was playing a lot of different cameos because I want to make a video for you all about who I truly do think is Sub-Zero's best cameo, and I had some really good streaks and success early on with playing some Darius, interestingly enough, playing some Frost, and of course playing Scorpion. As you can see, Sub-Zero Scorpion is listed on my tag here because that's who I primarily played, because that is my team. That's my go-to. That is the one that I deeply love, and there's so much new tech that I'm just not even used to using. A lot of the combos you saw me do for slides were correct, but not regular hits. If you're hitting with forward 1-2, you should be going into forward 1-2 slide, not forward 1-2 into Scorpion's overhead. And I really started to get more consistent with that as I was progressing through Demigod to get to God rank. Beyond that, I need to always be pressuring somebody on their wake up. I can break their armor every time due to the changes with slide and using Scorpion. So there's just so much that I can be doing with Scorpion. I have every faith that I can have a much higher win percentage next time. I also have complete faith that I could get to Elder God, time permitting, this season, but I'm probably going to instead mess around with other cameos, just because I hate that we've got to grind, so frequently to get to this level, because now, really in like the Demigod God, Elder God, you're getting to play more seasoned players that you can't just completely cheese out because they don't have knowledge of something. So basically now I am at the stage that I can do better testing with all these other cameos. How legit is Frost really at higher level? How legit is Cyrax at higher level? So on and so forth. I already know Scorpion's legit. I already know Chameleon's legit, but I'll also do some practicing with them. So that's likely what I am going to be doing next, so I can then make a video about what is really Sub-Zero's best cameo. But just want to show some proof, some, examples of me using the tech I am showing in videos, and also showcase that a more slide-oriented game plan can work. I know many people are used to sitting back, using a Chameleon, using a Serena to get that opening hit. And sure, there is something to be said about that playstyle. We're using Chameleon to get the mix-ups, or Sonya to get the mix-ups, and yes, there's something to be said about that playstyle too. But as I hope you saw in these matches, you can really be waiting for the opponent to overextend and then punish them with a clone with a slide. You didn't get to see me do a lot of anti-airing, but I love jumping up and doing 1-2 to anti-air people as well. So you can really be playing a more passive Sub-Zero, waiting to pounce, waiting to strike when they make a mistake, hit for some explosive damage, and then pull back, waiting again to do the same. So hope again this has really proved, or at least shown, that this type of playstyle can work, and not just against anybody, but against people you are seeing consistently do well in tournaments. I can't wait to get a run back against Mighty Unjust, DexyDawg, and some other top players as I'm competing here in that God, and maybe even if I decide to do the grind for it with Scorpion, Elder God ranking. If I don't do Elder God this season, definitely my goal next season will be to do Sub-Zero Scorpion all the way to Elder God, just in case that proof will also help convince folks. And at the end of the day, you know, whether you believe me or not, it's about having fun and also having that success that I know you want. So even if you're doing the stuff I'm showing with Cyrax instead, or Janet instead, or Chameleon as Katana instead, because all those allow you to do a more slide-focused game plan, that's great. At the end of the day, I just want to help you win with Sub.